Persona 5 has been out about a week now. I'm 35 hours in, or if what every gaming news outlet has said is correct, about a third of the way through the game. Hitting that milestone made me feel like right around now is the time to give my impressions. First and foremost, newcomers are welcome. If you've never played a Persona before, don't worry, because you will not be lost at all. Like Final Fantasy, numbered Persona titles are standalone affairs. They're set in the same world, but ultimately have nothing to do with each other in any meaningful way that would confuse somebody. That's not to say that there's not Easter eggs, because I've managed to pick out a few related to Persona 3 and 4. For instance, an old character is mentioned in passing, and a poster that actually confirms Persona 4 Dancing All Night as canon. None of it's done cheaply, though. It makes sense for Rise to be on a poster advertising her new single in the middle of Tokyo, for instance. The callbacks are rare and all the more welcome for. Now, this is not Persona 4. The power of friendship bullshit is out and the power of rebellion is in. Persona 5 has some dark shit happen in its opening hours. It runs the full gamut from police brutality to sexual assault, rape, and murder. These crimes ultimately motivate you to go kick some ass much more effectively than anything in previous installments. In fact, this is the first Persona title that has the main characters on the offensive from the outset, as opposed to just reacting to the events going on around them. Said events actually did a good job of pissing me off, considering the crimes that were being committed and how easily these shitbags committing them were getting away with it. I mean, we've all suffered some sort of injustice in our lives, and that makes it really easy to empathize with the cast. Where I'm at, I'm still pre-plot ramp-up, where the actual villain and stakes are revealed, but so far, it just feels good taking down these monsters that we're presented with. If you like other Personas, or turn-based RPGs in general, then look no further. I mean, as we all know, turn-based RPGs are on their last legs, really, to say the least. But Persona 5 puts up a strong argument for why the mechanic has a place in gaming today. It's fast, strategic, and the whole thing has been streamlined to minimize menus. In fact, thinking about it, there's only like 2 menus that you'll even go through while you're in combat: the item list and the skill list. It's able to get away with it because of some smart design choices. For instance, when changing personas, the game will automatically bring up a persona that has the skill that the enemy you're fighting is weak to, if you know the weakness. But streamlining this further, pressing R1 will actually automate the entire process for you entirely. It'll scan all the enemies on the battlefield, choose a persona for you, and select the skill that the baddie is weak to. I mean, you still have to hit the button to attack, but if you use this shortcut, it just makes combat fucking flow. I mean, that's not to say that it's easy. It flows well, but it's not easy. I'm playing on normal. If I'm unprepared or get ambushed, I'll just straight up get my ass handed to me. Getting the drop on enemies is really, really essential to your continued well-being, so much so that they actually included a pretty well-implemented cover mechanic in order to help. Persona 5 isn't classic Shin Megami Tensei hard, but it's gonna punish you if you get cocky. A new feature to show up unexpectedly: dungeons, called palaces in Persona 5, aren't randomized anymore, meaning they actually have level design in here, and I gotta say that it's a welcome change, because the level design is good. You're not just gonna be wandering floor after endless fucking floor, fighting enemies, capturing personas, and leveling up, because now there's honest-to-God puzzles. I mean, in the interest of spoilers, I won't elaborate, but the puzzles are fantastic when they show up. There's also stage hazards to keep you on your toes and keep you from getting careless. Fall victim to those, and the security level of the palace will jump up and make things just that much more difficult for you. All these things combine to give you a real sense of being a teenage thief infiltrating a secure area, and it's honestly fantastic. The way dungeon progression is managed is pretty smart as well. For instance, in order to not die in combat, you need to target enemy weaknesses, which is typically an elemental skill, and those use SP. Now, SP recovery items are one of 3 things: crazy rare, crazy expensive, or require you to use your limited free time to make them. You can essentially continue fighting until you're out of SP, and then it's time to get the hell out, because you could easily die in the next fight, even if you're a higher level than you. So limiting your SP in the form of limited recovery items was really, really smart. It's a great replacement for P3's exhausted status, and in Persona 4 where you could just blast through a dungeon in a single day because you had all the fucking items in the world. But for those of you out there who for some reason miss the good old days where you have the randomly generated dungeon that just fucking never ends, Atlas did you a favor and included Mementos, which is exactly that: an endless randomized dungeon, much in the same vein as Persona 3's Tartarus. I'm not a huge fan because it's pretty repetitive, but it's not too bad. There's some interesting things to do in it, at least. And as you all know by now, this game is just stylish as fuck. Like, honestly, it's something I was originally kind of on the fence about. I had watched some gameplay footage that Atlas streamed, like back in the day during E3 and stuff last year, and I honestly couldn't get my bearings. I mean, it looked nice, but it just seemed so distracting. I'm very happy to say, though, that this is not the case when you're actually playing. Whoever designed the UI in this game, especially like the menus when you're at a shop or anything like that, deserves just every fucking award given for that sort of thing. I don't know if there are any, but if there is, give it to that person because they're fantastic. It's so fucking fun to look at. I do have one complaint about Persona 5, and that is the loud, high-pitched noise made when you're ambushing an enemy. It's loud. I live in a house with a toddler, and I was afraid that it would wake her up whenever it happened, despite my volume being turned down to a reasonable level and there being about 2 walls and 20 feet of space between our rooms. So, doing what a normal person would do, I switched to headphones, and fucking hell did that suck. Just take a listen. I suggest turning your volume up if you want to get my full experience.
Show me your true form!
Persona 5 does, however, take a while to get going. Like, a long while. Your first few hours are going to be hamstrung by plot and tutorials. I wasn't trusted to manage my own time or even explore the first dungeon freely until about 6 or 7 hours in. The first 4 of those hours will blow by faster than you can say deep vein thrombosis, but the last hour or so you'll be screaming at the game to just let you get on with it already, and then you get your freedom, and you understand exactly how much there is to do, feel overwhelmed, and wish it would take you back to the good old days of an hour ago where your days were structured for you. If you're anything like me, you'll eventually get so stressed out about time management, your mind will simply shut down, and you'll decide to focus on social links called confidants with your main party, which is something I highly recommend. You'll also focus on the people you find interesting and getting your character attributes high enough to unlock more confidants by doing normal things like, you know, eating hamburgers that have the diameter of a frisbee and watching movies about vigilante bakers. One thing I do have to mention though, and this, I mean, it has an effect on the game, yes, but it's not something I've seen reported on a whole lot, so I felt like I needed to bring it up. And that's the sheer amount of work that went into this game, because it's incredible. I think this is best exemplified by all the personas. For instance, my persona compendium is about 15% complete, and I have probably in the range of 25, 30 personas or so. I haven't counted in a bit. But that means that there's about 200 or so personas. 200 unique, fully 3D and animated personas. No recolors, no cop-outs. It's incredible. Like, they even have voices. I mean, those are mostly recycled, but there's enough variety to keep you from noticing too much. And then you realize that you have 3 different hub areas to go around, each bigger than the entirety of Inaba from Persona 4, with what I assume is to be more hub areas to unlock as the game goes on. Now, the English voice acting is really damn good. There are no teddies here to grate on your nerves this time. The mascot character, Morgana, is just one of the gang. No annoying voice or hang-ups or jokes that were beaten into the fucking ground 10 minutes after meeting them only for them to continue for the rest of the goddamn game and its various spin-offs. The main character is still a silent protagonist with no official name, but Chet Fuxton speaks more than ever. Still limited though, it's not a fully voiced role or anything, but it's still good to hear that he's not a total mute. And I mean, all the other voice acting is just good shit. Atlas has always been good about their English voice actors, but like everything else about Persona 5, this is definitely a new high for them. I mean, of course there's always outliers to the rule. Some truly minor voiced roles I think would have been better left as text, but the highs are such that it's really easy to overlook. And for those of you out there who forego English dub completely, you can download the Japanese audio off of the PSN for free. I prefer dub, so I can't speak to the quality, but feel free to let me know what you guys think in the comments about the Japanese track. Now, I can honestly say that I'm looking forward to the next 70 or so hours I have with Persona 5. Fuck, 70 hours. More than anything though, I am looking forward to finally being able to live out my real-life fantasies of just sticking it to the man. I'll be doing more Persona 5 videos as this game more completely consumes my life. So after you subscribe to my channel and follow me on Twitter at Greene Games, let me know in the comments what you guys would like to see. I'm Stick It to the Man Greene, and thanks for watching, guys.
How the hell did some slumdog brat win so much prize money? It's just not possible. You must have cheated.
No, it wasn't cheating. It was destiny.